Still can't get over the fact that that guy directed Thor. So we're on to movie number 2 in the Harry Potter film series, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This one is once again directed by Chris Columbus, came out in 2002, a year after The Sorcerer's Stone came out. Almost forgot to mention this, but this review is going to contain some spoilers for Chamber of Secrets. So if you haven't seen Chamber of Secrets, go check it out, come back, watch this video. I'm not going to talk about everything because then I'll be here for 3 hours talking about a 3-hour movie. And I'm just not gonna do that. And in this one, Harry's kind of settled into the wizarding world. He has friends now. He has Ron and Hermione. And they're back at Hogwarts for year 2, but something's happening at Hogwarts. Early on in the movie, while Harry's still at the Dursleys, he gets visited by a house elf named Dobby. And Dobby tells him that there's a plot to make terrible things happen at Hogwarts this year. You find out later in the movie that that is the opening of the Chamber of Secrets. It's a chamber that the founder of Slytherin House built when he split away from everyone else, because he kind of disagreed with the other founders of Hogwarts. Before he left, he built this chamber so when Slytherin's heir goes to Hogwarts, he can kind of take Hogwarts back for the purebloods, the people that are full magically blooded, because that's what Slytherin wanted. And so for the whole movie, they're trying to figure out who's causing all this trouble, who's the heir of Slytherin, why is all this stuff happening, why are kids getting petrified, and Harry's getting a little uneasy too. He finds out he can speak to snakes, which is one of the key characteristics of Slytherin's heirs. He's hearing voices inside the walls. People all think he's the heir of Slytherin. And this movie, from what I can tell, is kind of like the black sheep of the series. I found out some people recently don't actually like Chamber of Secrets. I don't get that because the movie has problems, but I really like this movie. I think I might even like it more than Philosopher's Stone. This movie's similar to Philosopher's Stone. All the positives that I gave Philosopher's Stone you could probably give to this movie, and all the negatives I gave to Philosopher's Stone you could probably give to this movie. The cast is still great. Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, they're still all awesome. Tom Felton as Malfoy is given a little bit more to do in this movie. Those themes of prejudice and mudbloods and purebloods are even more prominent in this movie. You hear Malfoy call Hermione a mudblood. But again, this movie goes to show that it doesn't matter what background you are, whether you're pureblood, mudblood, half-blood. It's kind of like, it's what you do with what's given to you, and that's what defines you. Hermione's a muggle born, she's one of the smartest people in her class. And Ginny Weasley, who comes from a completely wizarding family, she was the weak one, she was the vulnerable one. She was the one that ended up getting possessed and abused by Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort. This movie does expand the world of Potter. You see Cornelius Fudge for the first time, he's the Minister of Magic. You kind of get the idea that, oh, this is a larger world outside of Hogwarts. You're introduced to Lucius Malfoy, who works for the Ministry of Magic. Him and Mr. Weasley, they kind of have this like conflicting animosity going towards each other. You also see the Burrow for the first time, the Weasley's house. They got a lot of cool wizarding contraptions going on there. And I know that this and Philosopher's Stone kind of get lumped into one like cluster together, but they're two distinct movies. Chamber of Secrets is actually a lot darker than Philosopher's Stone was. Harry's hearing voices through the wall. People are getting petrified. One girl, you find out through a backstory, actually died because of the Chamber of Secrets opening. But one of my issues with this movie is a similar problem I had with Philosopher's Stone, is that this movie is pretty long. I think this is actually the longest Harry Potter movie. The theatrical cut of this movie, I think, clocks in somewhere around like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And then the extended version is about 2 hours and 50 minutes. So it's basically a 3-hour movie. It's a kid's movie, and I don't think that these kids can carry a 3-hour movie quite yet. You do have class actors like Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, you know, they're filling in the supporting cast. But there's a couple times where the pacing kind of slows down. Like, for instance, the Aragog scene in this movie. It's pretty cool, but I feel like it's just this big detour into the dark forest, and when they come back, all you find out is, oh, Hagrid's innocent. And they are given a couple clues to solve the mystery that the basilisk is the monster that's born in the Chamber of Secrets. So there's a couple things that are learned there, but I feel like that stuff could have been accomplished in a shorter setting. This movie's really loyal to the book though, because that scene is in the book, but sometimes it doesn't always translate well to the big screen. What they could have done is at least cut that out of the theatrical cut, maybe do a different type of scene explaining the basilisk and explaining Hagrid's innocence. I don't know how you would do it, but do something else, make it a little bit shorter, and then in the extended edition, put in the full Aragog scene, watch them fly away in the Fort Anglia, but just when all that's in the theatrical cut, it becomes a little bloated. Oh shoot, I almost forgot to mention Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart. I mentioned him at the beginning of the video. He's this really quirky, eccentric author. He's really full of himself. He's a little jealous of Harry because all this guy wants is fame and fortune. Harry wants nothing to do with that, but Harry's already way more famous than Lockhart will ever be. And so he's kind of playing like press politics with Harry, like, hey, smile with me, Potter. We're gonna be on the front page, it's gonna be so cool. And so he's like the exact opposite of how Harry would deal with that, and because of that, he gets on Harry's nerves. As the movie's wrapping up, you find out that the monster has actually taken a student into the chamber. You find out that that is Ginny Weasley, Lockhart turns out to be a giant fraud. He goes into the chamber with Harry and Ron, he double crosses them, tries to wipe their memories, Ron's wand backfires, Lockhart's memory gets erased, and then you're down in the pits of the Chamber of Secrets. Harry meeting Tom Riddle. He comes back through this diary, which is another important part of this movie. There are so many important parts of this movie. Like I said, it's a long movie. But Tom Riddle's memory, or his spirit, or wherever he is, he summons the basilisk. Harry fights the basilisk. The sorting hat gets flown down by Fawkes, which is Dumbledore's phoenix. The sword of Gryffindor appears in the hatch, this big freaking silver sword. Fawkes takes the basilisk's eyes out and it can't see, so there's one scene when Harry's running through the sewers, and that's really intense because the basilisk can only smell him. He's got to be cautious, almost like an alien scenario. And so this whole scene just has so much going on. It's really cool, especially for a kid's movie. In the end, Harry beats the basilisk. He throws that sword right up the roof of the snake's mouth. He beats Tom Riddle. He saves Ginny, saves the day. Fawkes climbs them out. Dobby gets free. All this stuff's happening. They all clap at the end because Hagrid's out of Azkaban. So many loose ends that need to be tied up, and this movie is a little all over the place, but it's hard to blame it because it's the way the source material is. Because again, they're expanding this world. The wizarding world is a living, breathing world. By the second movie, they've already established that. But this movie also didn't lose sight of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They're learning their magic spells. They're still going to school, solving their mysteries. And this is a nice sequel to Philosopher's Stone, but you can also tell that it's part of a bigger picture. At times, Chamber of Secrets feels like almost the most expendable Harry Potter movie. None of them are fully expendable though, because, you know, there's stuff in Chamber of Secrets that again ties into Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows. But at the time, it feels a little contained. There's a couple things where you're like, that doesn't quite make sense, but they make sense in later movies. So I really dig Chamber of Secrets. It's a little too long. The acting is a little wooden at times. But I still don't see how this is a bad movie. So my question for you on this video is, who is your favorite Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher in the Harry Potter series? Mine, Professor Lupin. We're going to talk about him a lot in Prisoner of Azkaban. Whoever your favorite professor is, comment down below. Let me know who that is. Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to have a review for Prisoner of Azkaban out, hopefully a little bit sooner than it took me to get the Chamber of Secrets one out. But until then, see you guys later.